thing that worries me is the fact that we are, as carers, are getting it always. They're cutting our respite, they're cutting our outreach, they're cutting our money. We have our children 24 hours a day. We get, 12 hours a week. We can't do anything. We're getting older. It's really a very strenuous job. Who looks after the carers? If we don't look after our children, there's nowhere now that they can go, and nobody cares. It just, we're going to cut this and we're going to cut that, and the children and the clients get used to what they're doing, and when you're taking it away, it makes our job an awful lot harder. And I think as carers, we do have enough on it to deal with without having this added stress.
I think when we talk about day services, we've got to remember that person-centred planning and person-centred is the first thing. Forget the cost as an issue. First look at what we've got to do and then find out how we're going to fund it. And
she doesn't seem to, they don't seem to do anything that she's interested in. Before, they used to go out for the day. I don't know if you know any of the previous people, Edward and all those that was there. And it seemed to be a different atmosphere. Now it's got sort of much bleaker, if you like.
He used to go to the day services 6.5 hours a day, 5 days a week. Now he's only 4 days a week, 4 days a week, 4 hours maximum. So if they cut further, I don't know what is going to happen. If they cut it further, that will be very difficult because I won't have any time to myself at all. This is the only thing he gets, 4 days a week, 4 hours maximum. So I hope they don't cut. If they do cut it, then it will be extremely difficult.
Changes that have affected me are concerning day centres. His National Health Service Day Centre was closed, and he now has to go to another day centre much further away. The impact on us has been very great. In addition, we now have to pay for the day centre he goes to, whereas the National Health Service Day Centre was free.
They seemed to be more like at that time, more of a sort of family atmosphere with the staff and the people that used it. But now it's more clinical, I think.
Many people do not take up daycare provision or have unpaid carers because they find it too expensive when they have been means tested.
Well, I try to keep healthy to begin with by walking a lot. I go to keep fit. I go swimming. I go to the gym as well. That's about what I do. A lot of walking. Anything else regards health? Well, I try to eat proper food. And I'm actually going to take part in, I think it starts in October, called Keep Fit for Life, through my doctor's surgery. So that should help as well, I hope.
How's it affected me? Health-wise, I'm under the mental health. I suffer with severe depression. I've got 3 prolapsed discs, so I'm in pain constantly. There's no one to talk to really. We do have other carers. I've got other close carers that I can talk to about these things, but at the end of the day, the responsibility is yours, and you've got to make the best you can in your situations. It's my son I feel sorry for because he's got no social skills whatsoever, and I feel sorry for him seeing him sit there day in and day out with this man when he should be outside in the world seeing what's on offer for him. But Westminster have got no facilities for someone like him, and I just have to put up with what I've got and do the best I can until I can't do it anymore. And that's the situation that a lot of carers are put in day in and day out. So that's all I've got to say.
Life of a carer is not easy. And here, for those who remember the days of reading carbon copies from typed pages, I would say that at the beginning, when you start caring for someone, you are handed out the top copy. And the top copy is maybe a list of what you hoped for, what your life could be, all the goals you have. Then little by little, time progresses, years go by, and you are handed over a different copy, and one after the other. You are left with a copy where you can hardly make out what is written there. And that was your life. That was what you hoped for. Battle after battle, difficult day after difficult day. You forgot what your life could have been. You forgot what you liked. You forgot what you were happy with. You don't even know what can make you happy anymore. That's my hope also, to have a proper support and to have proper access to NHS services, to have proper support from one-to-one counselling. This is very often forgotten, and this is something that can be easily put in place. All carers need support, need one-to-one counselling, need help, emotional help, to get back to their life and to grasp their difficult, but their life anyway. Thank you.
Etta, is there anything else?
Generally speaking, I think the best thing that the medical profession can do is listen to people properly. They tend to say, what's the matter with you? And you tell them, and they don't seem to listen to the full intent of what you are actually telling them. They get on and think, yes, I've got it, and do something totally that you didn't tell them to do. So yes, more attention needs to be taken of what is said. And the other thing is keeping you emotionally well. Well, if you phone people or speak to people, you don't need to be moved around to different departments telling them again and again what your symptoms are, what your problems are. This should have all been sorted out by now, that their records are kept in one place so that you don't have to keep on doing this, because it is very stressful doing it.
Well, my GP, he's okay, I suppose, but he doesn't take me very seriously. So that's why I don't go to him very often. Last I went to see my GP last in 2007. So do you believe that long ago? Because he doesn't take me seriously, so I don't bother go and see him. I suppose GP should be much more much more caring to help with the carers, and they should talk about their problems and their anxiety and their needs. But unfortunately, my GP is not one of them. And I think GP
I have an ongoing problem which I have to go to the hospital for, which I went in June, and the doctor said to me he would see me in 2 months, which was August, and then I got a letter telling me they're referring it till October. Well, that's 4 months, and you know, if you're a carer and you're not well, 4 months is a long time to go being not well. You know, you get irritable, you get snappy, because you can't explain to your son or daughter, no, don't do that today because I don't feel well. So I think they need to take into account if a carer is going to the hospital for a specific reason, not to make, I know everybody's ill, but even more so when you're a carer, because you can't just go to bed if you want to go to bed. You know, other people, when they don't have the responsibilities, you can just go to bed for the afternoon, but we can't. So I would say that would be the main priority, is to not make us wait so long for hospital appointments.
Older carer, looking for an even older carer, it's been very difficult over the years, and I find that having a good close relationship with a doctor that you can talk things over, and getting all the information they can help, and don't be shy of not talking, to be honest with your doctor, or if it's not your doctor, a member of the practice, and make a friend of your local chemist person in there, and they can give you so much advice as well, and take all the, if you're offered breaks, take them, because you get distressed and you feel wonderful when you can come in and you can carry on as what you've been doing. But as I say, talk to your doctor as a friend, because they do care. And
Having somebody who has a disability from birth means that from the birth of this person, your whole life is turned over to professionals. And the worst was the social worker, who basically kept on asking personal questions for her own, well, for her own pleasure or her own needs, I don't know. But she would come in and say, how's your husband, meaning how's your marriage? She would ask questions about whether I got angry with my children. There were all sorts of things. You actually got to the point where you were unable to say what you wanted to say because you were afraid it would be misconstrued.
The second problem is that individual budgets are not flexible at all. You think that the individual budget can buy residential care? No, not at all. Do you think that the individual budget can be used, for other expenses or for the benefit of a cared for person? No, not at all. There are limitations and controls which have to be in place, but still flexibility on individual budgets is not something that is happening at the moment.
Just recently, through going through my son's paperwork, Ricardo's being charged £23.50 a week for facilities that he uses within Westminster. Now, Ricardo doesn't use facilities within Westminster, and for the last year I've been trying to get an explanation as to why he has to pay over £100 a month out of his individual budget money that he gets once a year. And to no avail. I leave messages all the time at social services, but no one wants to explain why he has to pay, and why do we have to pay? This individual budget scheme are for families, to help families to live better with their disabled siblings or disabled partners, but it makes you worse. You're losing out more so than what you're gaining. And as one lady said, it's supposed to be flexible, but it isn't. You have to go through social services to explain what you want to use some of the money for, and then it's up to them whether or not you get it or not. So I can't see the point in this individual budget.
The thing that keeps playing on my mind is when these carers come and they're like 15 minutes late and 20 minutes late, and then they're brought back 15 minutes or an hour earlier, what happens to that time that we're supposed to be paying for? Because no one says anything, because if you had 15 minutes every day, or even more than 15 minutes every day if they're brought back early, you're talking an hour a day, but that's 7 hours for the week. And if they're paying anything from £17 odd to £20 odd pounds an hour, where's all that money going that we're not getting the use of? Is it added on to does it come out of the budget?
What I do find is that I cannot get respite. I have had 1 week away since August 2011. I can never go away. I cannot get help into the home because my husband will not accept it, and it is expensive and not very satisfactory. Caring for me has meant that I cannot participate in many events. I can hardly participate in any events because I have to be in the home by 3 o'clock every day, and most things are not compatible with me getting home at 3 o'clock, including travel time.
I like to take Godwin wherever I go, so I don't really get a break as such, because I like to take him with me. I don't like to leave him behind.
And also they've cut respite down, which I need to get time for myself, which cutting the hours down, I think it's 30 odd days, is a lot to somebody when they're a carer, because that's the only time you get to live a normal life. And if you've got a
I'm a
husband,
mother of a learning disability boy of 38. He's lived at home with me all the time. He's got autism, learning disabilities, and challenging behaviour. I have 4 hours for 3 days a week in the morning from 10 till 2. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday he is with me all day, and Friday I get another 4 hours and he's with me all weekend, all holidays. I have no respite.
I decided to go to the job centre to see if I could get something to do. And the guy that I spoke to said that if I was to get a job, that I would lose my benefits. Now, I thought the government were there to help carers get back into employment, you know, and not have benefits taken away from us for being carers. It's quite confusing. So this guy said there was no point in me coming there to the job centre to look for work because I would lose all these benefits, my son's benefits and everything. So what's the point? Why aren't you helping us back into employment? Why do you have to take things away from us?
I also wanted to add that on paper some policies for the benefit of carers sound very good, and they would ideally solve the problem of carers getting into work again and to be supported. Unfortunately, I can see that so far not very much has been done. Not finances have been set aside to implement these goals. And also there are no designated workers to help and support carers to get back to work or to have a real improve in their health, a real support in their health. We heard that there would be some champions who would understand the carers' needs. But so far we don't have any champions, we do not have the proper support and we don't see the designated finance set aside for these goals. So far very good ideas, very interesting papers put forward, but probably not enough money and not enough support.
At the moment, my husband and I are affected by the bedroom tax, or second bedroom tax, because due to my husband's mental health problems, we cannot share a bedroom. Therefore, what the council presumes, they say without prejudice, that our marriage has broken down, and I find it absolutely hurtful and in a way discriminatory, because we are being, I feel we are being persecuted not only because of my husband's illness, but also by very wrongful perceptions of the authorities.
I was concerned by the person who said that she was being charged £100 a month for services her son was not receiving, and I think that's symptomatic of the fact that a lot of people don't know their rights, both their rights to have care they've been assessed as needing, and both their rights to have choices. It's deceitful for social services not to let people know their rights and to have their own particular criteria and policies which are not necessarily in keeping with national law, because people, if they are assessed as needing a service, should have that service and not be told, we have assessed you as needing 8 hours of respite care, but we can only afford 4, so you're going to get 4, because if you're assessed as needing 8, you get the 8. And I think that is something where we need to be getting people really empowered to know the law.
What they don't realise is that one little voice or 2 little voices on their own does not make a difference. But 200 voices do make a difference.
It's time that the local authority recognise learning disabled people, and indeed other vulnerable groups, as part of the community, and to be included in their mindset and in their planning whenever they plan activities or any possible thing that would benefit the community. These are valuable people in the community. They teach us to be human, and the quality of our society depends on how we regard the most vulnerable in our community. We need a quality society with human values. Kindly remember the learning disabled and other vulnerable groups and include them in the planning when you do activities.
You just find a handful of people that will stand up and try and fight for what we want, and the others just stand back and say, okay, well, we'll reap the benefits when it comes along. And hopefully, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Hammersmith and Kensington and Chelsea, if there's enough carers that come to the meetings there and we do join together and we do have some backing, then maybe, yes, we'll get somewhere. But I think with the handful of people that we get is not sufficient to fight really for what we want. Okay, you know, you go to these meetings, it's written down, but you know, as I said, one voice isn't sufficient.
But we can't really complain. We can't really say that because we're not joined together yet. I mean, that is something for the future to see what happens when we do join together. Then you know what's going to happen, won't you be? I mean, we'll know when we go, if we go.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm able-bodied still, thank goodness. But when in a couple of years, when I'm 70, I will, whatever, I might need them myself. So, I mean, anyway, I wish everybody to protest like I'm going to protest, because if you don't, they don't think you're interested in it, you know? So, whatever this goes out, please write to your MP or somebody like that and say about do you get a service from your GPs, hospitals, anything like that. A little bit goes a long way, you know. So God bless you all, and I hope I've done a little bit. But please do your
There's
best.
so many things that are going on when you're dealing with so many different services. You're dealing with social services sometimes, GP, hospitals, pharmacists, and there's so much information and so many different groups and departments are involved, and finding your way around it is something that Carers Network can really help with, and it's been a huge help to me, as well as support from the friends that I've made, and I encourage other people that I come across who've got similar problems to get in touch with carer groups, because it's been a big help.